just a crazy fear. Yeah, thank you. Here's a couple of my crazy fears. You want to hear them?
Yeah.
Thank you. So, when I was 11, my mom left town.
Paul, don't ask questions of the audience. You're getting a crappy response, it's going to look bad for you as a speaker.
Okay.
Because you've got no audio, very little audience, work around how you're getting a response. Because you don't want to have everything else is doing great, then you ask a question, you get up, yeah?
No. So here's, when I was 11 years old, my mom left town, and it was often great, because my dad would take us to a movie and out to Bino's Pizza. And I love pizza. Ooh. I love pizza. I still love pizza. But you know what he took? Well, let me go back a week before this day. This is how I used to swim in Minnesota lakes. Oh my God, this is amazing. Life is good. What a lake, just a beautiful sandy. It felt awesome. Splashing my brother. Things were good. And then he took us to a movie. The movie's name was Jaws. My life was forever changed from that day. And I thought it was wonderful at first. This beautiful woman running down the beach, removing her clothes, getting into this beautiful ocean and swimming, and then the music seemed to change. This dark music that will kind of haunt me to this day, that sometimes when I'm swimming in water, I can kind of hear the music, and I look around and hope there's no fins. So after that, swimming in a Minnesota lake was kind of, oh, what is that? It's a weed. It's a weed. And that same year, a movie by James Bond, about James Bond came out, with sharks in pools. I used to look into Minnesota pools for sharks before I got in. Because you never know. Some evil genius could be in that neighborhood. And I didn't want to die that way. And now I watched Saturday morning cartoons. Ever heard of Jabberjaw? Cartoon shark walks on land. You cannot get away from sharks. And they do vicious things. So where do our fears come from when we look back? Crazy places.
Share a couple of stories about your dad. Just share some bits about being emotional and vulnerable.
Okay, I'll share the fish house one too. You know, when I was little, my dad he's so good at so many things. He built the whole house around us. I mean, he actually did.
Look, when I was young, I used to look up at my dad for so many things he was able to achieve.
When I was young, I used to look up at my dad for all the things he was able to achieve. He was a great athlete. He built the house around us. People loved him. He was amazing to me. But he was also this, and I know today that he loves me. I know it. But then he was constantly critical. Think ahead, Chris. Pay attention. Do it better. And those just went into me, and they felt like slaps on the face, emotional slaps, like I was not good enough and that I would never be good enough. Because I never heard, great job. It was always not good enough, not good enough. And I remember a day I was driving in to go play basketball. And the cars were all stopped in front of me. Cars coming in the other direction, deep ditch on the other side. And I hit the brakes and nothing. The car just slid, BAM! Into the car in front. My head hit the steering wheel. And my dad came to pick me up. And he said, "How could you ruin our car?" In that moment, I never wanted to drive again. Now, when he came to the spot in the road and he hit the brakes himself, we almost went off the road. And I was inside, I was cheering, "Please go off the road." Now, when my mom came in, she said, "Are you all right?" First time I've been asked that day, not by my dad. I want to share this night at 17 that probably changed my entire life. It was a beautiful winter Minnesota night. Mother Nature had thrown a blanket of snow across the land, a foot thick, fluffy and white. And it was quiet. It was still. And someone likes playing video games. That can be muted too. They'd thrown a blanket of snow across the land, a foot thick, and it was quiet and still. Until me in the Jeep Cherokee and my buddy Jeff in the passenger seat and Jared in the back, and we were sliding sideways through parking lots. We were spinning circles. Life was good. And Ice Lake. 2 fish houses out on Ice Lake. It must be safe to go out on the lake. I said, "Let's go." And they said, "No and no." But who was driving? Yes, I was driving. And we went. We went out on the lake. And if you have you ever slidden sideways on a lake? Ooh, it is a beautiful thing. Ooh, it just goes and goes and goes. What a slide. And to spin, woo, 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 woo. We were having the time of our lives. The music was cranked. Life felt amazing. I was alive. We were alive. It felt, woo, good. And for the grand finale, I'd gotten to the far side of the lake. And I hit the gas. This is it, boys. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Snow was coming across the front bumper and the headlights. It was beautiful. I still remember it. And then I looked up. I'm heading towards one of the fish houses. No problem. I'll turn left. Nothing. Right. Nothing. Brakes. Left. Right. BAM! Splinters everywhere. Water on the windshield. Jeff is out so fast. Jared is out and they're screaming at me, "Get out! Get out!" And where am I? My head is down on the steering wheel. In that moment, I was ready to die. Dying, going into cold water, felt like it would be warmer than my father's eyes. And I know if he was there, he probably would have dived in after me. He would have gone in the water and we probably both would have died. But the ice held. Did a lot of creaking and cracking, but it held. Eventually took my seatbelt off, got out of the car, and I called a family friend, not my dad. I couldn't do it. The second tow truck came out on the lake, pulled us off. If I could have talked to that 17-year-old, and I know how many other 17-year-olds, whatever age, have done permanent things because they had a moment of failure. Just one moment that changes everything. I'm lucky, really lucky, that ice held. And it goes back to mindset we talk about. When we fail, to some people, we become a failure. It's a big reason why I'm here sharing is I don't want people turning failure into them being the failure. It doesn't have to be that way. And by the way, if you're ever on a lake headed towards an ice house, hit the gas and turn. That actually works.
Okay, why don't we do just a little, like one more clip with,
I'd say leave it on. I'd say leave it on. For the short amount of discomfort that you're going to wear, it makes a big impact.
Okay.
And that was much better tonality.
yeah.
And the pause was fantastic.
Yeah.
What I would have done is given some different alternatives of where you could have been. And where was I?